Coming up tonight on YCN News, flags throughout the nation fly at half-staff today on the 13th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Today is the first day a smoking ban goes into effect at several Claremont public parks. And we learn about the Vermont Golden Honey Festival coming up this Saturday. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Thursday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Today is the 13th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, with many people remembering where they were on that mild weather day in 2001. Flags are flying at half-staff throughout the nation. For those too young to remember the actual day, lessons at schools shape the historic picture. Members of the New Hampshire and Vermont congressional delegations share their thoughts on this somber day. 10 residents from New Hampshire lost their lives that day, Governor Maggie Hassan says in a statement today. Today's remembrance comes the night after President Barack Obama addressed the nation on U.S. military intervention to defeat the Islamic State terrorist group. As members of the Vermont and New Hampshire congressional delegations weigh in on the president's speech, all so far agree intervention is necessary. Key to this involvement, however, is that no troops are sent to active duty in the regions controlled by ISIS. To read what the delegation wrote, please check out our blog page at wycu.wordpress.com. Governor Peter Shumlin welcomed new U.S. citizens to the Green Mountain State. On the anniversary of the worst terrorist attack our nation has ever experienced, Shumlin says we honor those men and women who lost their lives. And by welcoming new Americans in this ceremony today, we show that our American way of life prevails. The terrorists failed in their plans to break the nation's spirit. I wish these, my new fellow Americans, my very best as they pursue a bright future as American citizens, Shumlin says in a prepared statement. Today is the first day a smoking ban goes into effect at several Claremont public parks, including today's farmers market. By a 9-0 vote in a review of yesterday night's meeting, the council agreed it was a good first step to enact smoking restrictions. Per City Ordinance Number 539, use of tobacco products and equipment in Barnes, Moody, Monadnock, and Veterans Parks is prohibited except for designated areas in the parks. Improving residents' and visitors' health is the goal of the resolution, reviewed in a second public hearing last night. There is no all-out ban on smoking in the parks or city. Even so, there will be no smoking at most all of the area at athletic fields and playgrounds. Attorney Jim Feline, also an earlier candidate for Sullivan County Register of Deeds, asked if smoking should be banned from the skateboard park of Washington Street. City Solicitor Jane Taylor said the park's size is too small to do that, as it is not large enough to have a designated buffer area as do the other parks. Instead, a city sanction could require no smoking if an event was held at the skateboard park. A 22-year-old man accused of identity theft this summer in Cavendish and Springfield, Vermont is under arrest. Between June 1st and July 25th, Vermont State Police report Zachary McNeil of Springfield allegedly opened 4 credit card accounts in 2 different individuals' names after acquiring their personal information. McNeil used the accounts until all had reached their maximum credit limit, say police. He allegedly used the charge accounts to buy goods and services in excess of $2,000. Consequently, the credit score of the victim was severely diminished. He also is accused by police with using false or forged signatures on documents submitted to the Vermont Department of Motor Vehicles. Police arrested McNeil on Tuesday. He was processed at the Rockingham Barracks and issued a citation for 2 counts of identity theft, 19 counts of false pretenses and tokens, and forgery. McNeil was ordered to appear in Windsor Criminal Court on September 16th. Police say more charges are expected as the investigation into additional accounts continues. In other police news, the Lebanon police sought and received an arrest warrant on September 5th, charging an Enfield man with 4 counts of child pornography possession. With the assistance of the Enfield, New Hampshire police, 53-year-old Michael Welton was arrested on September 6th in Massachusetts by the Methuen Police Department as a fugitive from justice. Each of the 4 charges is a Class A felony offense, punishable by imprisonment in the state prison from 7 to 15 years if convicted. Welton was being held without bail pending arraignment Monday in Lawrence District Court in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Police say this investigation remains ongoing. Serving other people through any act of volunteerism or simple kindness is one way of honoring the near 3,000 lives lost due to the 1993 and 2001 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Towers. One such group is Serve Vermont. Serve Vermont will partner with AmeriCorps groups around the nation tomorrow in recognition of AmeriCorps' own 20-year anniversary. In Montpelier at 10 a.m. tomorrow, as President Barack Obama leads participation in a nationwide, simultaneous AmeriCorps pledge. Governor Shumlin will present service awards to local volunteers. The ceremony takes place at the State House. Lebanon residents who live on Dulac Street and Slayton Hill Road may want to attend a meeting Monday on plans for its redesign. Final design plans for the street's reconstruction are nearly complete, city officials say. The meeting is scheduled for 4 p.m. Monday, September 15th. This will be a walking meeting. Anyone interested in the planned road upgrades may meet at the corner of Slayton Hill and Dulac Street. The best way to learn how this well-trafficked intersection will change is to walk the terrain. Both streets have problems with water drainage, as Slayton Hill homeowners learned the hard way during last summer's rainstorms. The walk will begin at the intersection and continue to the end of the project area at 23 Dulac Street. The walk is scheduled to end around 5 p.m. Then at 5:15 p.m., participants and other residents who want to learn more about the redesign will do so in Room 5 at Lebanon College. Members of the city's Department of Public Works and engineering consultant Faye Spofford and Thorndike will be in attendance to discuss the plans in greater detail and answer any questions. To learn more, go online to lebnh.net. When YCN News returns, we'll continue our series on financial management, and we'll learn about the Vermont Golden Honey Festival coming up this weekend.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. It's time now for YCN's weekly feature to help you with financial decisions. In today's report, you'll learn more about managing your finances so you can be prepared for emergencies and leave money to your future or current grandchildren. Let's hear this report from Martha Mackey.
So that's a great question. A lot of people feel like they want to leave something for their grandkids to get them a good start in life. And keep in mind, though, the first priority should be making sure that you are financially secure yourself for the rest of your life. Because you're not doing any favors to your family if you deplete your own savings over your lifetime. So really this is a question of how do you make sure that your assets last for the rest of your life so that you actually will have something to provide for your family when you're gone, and so that you can continue to provide for them here and there while you're still around as well. So everyone should have some kind of a mix of cash, bonds, and stocks, generally well into your later retirement years. So let's start with cash. Cash is the best protection against your portfolio losing more value than it needs to. In other words, if you have cash available for your expenses, say for a 12-month or even 2-year period, then that gives you money to fall back on so that you're never forced to sell your stock investments if there's a down market. You can wait for them to recover. The second thing is managing the volatility in your portfolio by investing in a combination of stocks and bonds. It's not always the case, but most of the time if stocks go up, bonds underperform, and when stocks go down, bonds carry their weight more efficiently. So it makes sense to have some of each in your portfolio, especially as you're getting older and your priority is making your money last. Sure, there's a few common financial disasters that we see often as people go through life. And one of the first ones could be some kind of illness or disability. So it's important to know if your employer offers disability insurance, what does it actually cover? What would you actually receive every month if you were disabled? If that's not enough to cover your bills, you should really consider purchasing an individual disability policy outside of what your employer offers, to make sure that your family would be financially secure if you couldn't work for a period of time for some reason. Sure, there's other common things that can affect someone's finances. Having some kind of protection against long-term care expenses, particularly as you get older, can be a huge thing. A lot of people are worried about all of their hard-earned savings end up going to a nursing home someday, and they don't like that idea for good reasons. It's something that can happen fairly commonly. There's a few things that you can do to protect yourself from that, and you should be aware of what your options are. If you are considering some type of insurance, for example, weigh the cost of that with the risk that you're willing to take and see if it's worthwhile for you to look into that. Yes, as a financial advisor, that's one of the things I do, is help people think through the financial impact of things that could happen in their life and make decisions ahead of time to prepare as well as they can and make those trade-offs. This is Martha Mackey, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, located at 54 Opera House Square in Claremont, New Hampshire, member SIPC.
On a related financial note, the U.S. Senate voted in favor today of advancing the Paycheck Fairness Act. U.S. Senator from New Hampshire, Democrat Jeanne Shaheen, was one of several Senate members urging her colleagues to do just that. Yesterday afternoon in Washington, Shaheen stated the act is a common-sense plan that supports the basic idea that all Americans should receive equal pay for equal work. Earlier, Republicans in the Senate had held up discussion in April on the act, also known as S2119. Shaheen is running against Republican Scott Brown of Rye, New Hampshire, for the Senate seat she now holds. In the end, Republican senators agreed, voting in favor 73-25 of advancing the legislation, political website thehill.com reports. Today, I went to visit the adorable Golden Stage Inn in Proctorsville, Vermont, where a sweet event is coming up this weekend. Let's hear from innkeeper Julie Lynn Wood to learn more.
My name is Julie Lynn Wood. I've been an innkeeper here at Golden Stage Inn in Proctorsville, Vermont for 4 years now. And this is our second year co-hosting the Vermont Golden Honey Festival. We host it with Goodman's American Pie, a pizza shop here in the Ludlow, one town north of us in Ludlow. And the Vermont Golden Honey Festival is kind of an arts and crafts fair. We have 20 vendors coming this year, and each vendor is asked to showcase at least one product with honey or beeswax or pollen, which is the bee's protein, or any product that comes from the hive of a honeybee. So we have 4 food vendors this year and 16 arts and crafts vendors that are each bringing something of that nature. We'll have everything from scarves to greeting cards to children's onesies. And we have, again, 4 food vendors. We have Goodman's American Pie. They'll be making a honey apple pizza off of their beehive oven pizza truck. They will have the Killarney from Ludlow, Angelina's Market from Ludlow. The Windsor Lions Club food truck will be here selling honey snow cones or honey cotton candy. We have 3 beehives on the property. I've been beekeeping for 8 years, and as most beekeepers are, I'm rather passionate about the bees and the honey, the plight of the bees, and just beekeeping overall. So a couple beekeepers and I got together and decided to host this festival. So one of the reasons that we have the Honey Festival in September is because late summer, early fall is the time that we harvest honey from a beehive. Bees are hoarders by nature, so they make much more honey than they use. So here in Vermont and New Hampshire as well, as beekeepers, we're recommended to leave 80 pounds of honey on the hive for the bees. So anytime a beekeeper announces how much honey they received from the hive, it's in addition to that 80 pounds. We have 3 hives here. One hive we didn't get any honey from because they just barely made their own 80. But the other 2 hives, we got 60 pounds of honey from each hive. And honey is one of the few natural products that has a shelf life of forever. So when they make it, they cap it off with wax honeycomb, and then we can either leave it in that honeycomb, or beekeepers, of course, choose to extract it. We put it in a jar exactly as is without heating it or filtering it, and then it's ready to eat.
The Golden Honey Festival will begin at 10 a.m. and end at 4 p.m. this Saturday, September 13th. The Golden Stage Inn is located at 399 Depot Street in Proctorsville, Vermont. And the events will include presentations on beekeeping along with the vendors. For more information, go online to goldenstageinn.com. When we return, we'll have your weather for the next few days and a look at sports with Matt McDonald.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we have partly cloudy skies with lows in the upper 40s and winds up to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow will be sunny with a high of 63 degrees. Tomorrow night we might have some fog after 8 a.m. with clear skies and lows in the 40s. Saturday we have a 40% chance of rain with fog until 8 a.m. Skies will be partly sunny with highs around 61 degrees. Saturday night we'll have another chance of showers with mostly cloudy skies and lows around 49 degrees. You can see that we are in the thick of the storm today. The weather is supposed to be clear on Friday, but there may be another chance of storms on Saturday. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. the Bellows Falls, Vermont and Walpole, New Hampshire farmers markets will be held. At 7 p.m. the Sunapee Methodist Church will host musical performer Claude Bourbon at their coffee house. In Vermont, the King Farm Barn in Woodstock will hold a show called the 39 Steps at 7:30 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. And now let's take a look at local high school sports results from yesterday. In boys golf, our local teams continued to be victorious. Kearsarge won 2 matches yesterday. One was against Campbell, in which Kearsarge made 169 strokes and Campbell made 175 strokes. In Kearsarge's other match, they achieved fewer strokes than opponent Prospect Mountain. Kearsarge made 169 and opposed to 286 by Prospect Mountain. Newport High School also won 2 matches. Match 1 was with Woodsville. Newport put in 198 strokes while Woodsville managed 223. Littleton also faced Newport but fell to them. Newport had 198 while Littleton had 238. Finally, Sunapee achieved a victory over Hillsborough Deering with 188 strokes to 252 strokes. There was also a girls' soccer game yesterday that pitted Kearsarge against Laconia. After an exciting game, Kearsarge won 1-0. In girls' field hockey, Stevens shut out Conant in a 4-0 score.
Thanks, Matt. When YCN News continues, we'll join Capital Connections' John O'Connor, who met with Wayne Lesperance, professor at New England College.
The YCN News continues in a moment.